Hello everyone. A brave, frank, clean-hearted and aspiring youth is the only foundation on which the future nation can be built. Swami Vivekananda believed in the unfathomable potential hidden among the youth. Today, he stands as the greatest inspiration for the youth across the world. Swami Vivekananda Jayanti, or National Youth Day, has been celebrated on the 12th of January every year since 1995. This day marks the immense power of youth to bring about a lucrative change in the world. On the birth anniversary of this great leader, I would like to introduce you all to our remarkable disciples who have carved a niche for themselves. I hope that the experience and journey will be an inspiration to the youth of today. I am pleased to introduce Ms. Kirti, design consultant specializing in interior design. She pursued a graduation degree from Sir J.J. School of Art that has 95% reservation for Maharashtra state, which quantifies to just one seat for candidates outside Maharashtra for interior design. Furthermore, she got a master's in interior and living design from Thomas Academy, Milan. She was awarded the 5th scholarship in an international design competition. She is currently working on a prestigious project that includes the design of the office of Udaipur's Prince at the City Palace. Warm welcome to Ms. Madhushri. Having completed our Masters in Women's Studies from Tata Institute of Social Sciences. She is a mentored Animal Activism Mentorship Program, Texas. She's a change maker and has been working towards the betterment of the society at large, voicing and empowering the marginalized sections of the society. Currently, she officiates as Program Lead at Jiva Bhavna, Pune. I'm humbled to introduce Mr. Raghav, a leader in his own field. He has received innumerable laurels, to mention a few: Platinum Award, Gold Award, National and Regional Awards for Business Excellence by Confederation of Indian Industries and QCF. Mr. Raghav currently works for Noida Power Company Limited as Senior Executive Engineer. Indeed, it is a pleasure to have you all on board today. And on this note, let's begin our youth orientation program. So, in today's fast-paced world, we have made a lot of advancements in science and technologies. We have access to a lot of information. Do you feel the youth of today have a certain advantage over the previous generation?
Thanks, Keshav, for having us for today's conversation. It is very exciting to be joined by two of my friends, Madhushri and Kirti. Thank you for the question also. Yes, I strongly feel that we have a lot of advantage. Why don't we? We have so much more access to information, so much more resources to be using and utilizing, so much more experience in terms of what people before us have done. To be able to learn from people's experience is also a great advantage. Along with that, I feel we also have this huge advantage of being global citizens that we did not realize 10-15 years ago. So the fact that a lot of young individuals today consider themselves to be citizens of the globe and not just one country enables them to share cultures, experiences, learnings, heritage and traditions, which essentially leads to a better place for everybody to be. So yes, I strongly feel that we do have advantages.
Thank you, Mr. Raghav. It's important to remain rooted to our culture while there is a lot of global exposure and take the best from both sides, East and West. How relevant is that?
Well, thank you, Keshav, for this question. When we say culture, now culture is your language, your clothes, your food, everything you embody from the time of your birth to moving on forward. And when we talk about to have your culture, to be rooted to it, of course, because it's very essence of your own identity. Now, what you can take from the West is how they're moving forward, embodying it and connecting the world. Now, when you talk about how relevant that is, of course, that is, otherwise you lose your identity and your place, because then how are you different or what are you contributing to if you lose the very essence of your own identity?
Thank you for that answer, Ms. Kirti.
I'd like to jump in here and add a bit to what Kirti had to say. First of all, thank you, Keshav, for the wonderful introduction, and thank you, DPS, for having me back here on this panel. And it's always wonderful to share space with DPS alumni such as Kirti and Raghav. So what I wanted to add is, when we talk about culture, I just want the youth and everyone in general to keep in mind that culture should not at any point dictate disrespect and inequality. So what I want to say is, culture should always evolve and keep changing with the times we are in. It should never be rooted in one ideology. It needs to completely transform and change with the times, and it should always be respectful. So wherever we go, we need to accept and celebrate all types of gender, sexualities, and people around the globe. So that is one principle that I govern myself with, and I hope that the youth of today also respects everyone and all identities, and culture does not in any way inhibit their progress.
Thank you, Ms. Madhushri, for that wonderful answer. According to you, which factor contribute the most towards youth empowerment?
So according to me, youth empowerment, we need to understand that currently we're facing a lot of problems in terms of climate change. It's a number one priority globally to address climate change issues. Several countries are already facing adverse effects, and most of these countries are developing countries. So to the youths, I would say that one needs to inform themselves, do their own research, because a lot of factors are in place who will try to hide the truth from you. But you need to be strong and overcome these obstacles in order to stand tall and be able to contribute to your country and also globally in saving resources. And also constantly developing our food systems currently, which are currently harming our earth to a maximum, and most solutions-based organizations, etc., will not talk about this. So we need to have that strength. So when I say empowerment, it is that we need to ourselves do the research and believe in ourselves. Stand up for ourselves and ask for the rights that we all deserve. So yeah, thank you.
But Keshav, do you not feel that we're already empowered? We have the freedom to voice our opinions. We have the freedom to experiment. We have the opportunity to travel, explore, learn for ourselves. Just within a second, we can share what we feel about the current topic with the world online. And this whole digital revolution has given everybody that boost of empowerment, so to say. And while that is an advantage, it is also important that we realize that our empowerment should not hinder someone else's emotion and their intent. So just to add on to what Madhushri said, that we are empowered, I feel, in so many ways, and believe in ourselves, and we can make the world a better place, guys.
Thank you, Mr. Raghav and Ms. Madhushri. Now I have a question for Ms. Kirti. In contemporary times, a lot of new and offbeat opportunities have emerged. We can make our passion our career. What do you have to say about that?
Well, thank you for that question, Keshav. I would like to say that all the fundamentals of any career opportunity that you choose for yourself would actually come from your honest ethics, from the place of passion, from the place of drive, from the place of what you wish to contribute from your own skill set to the society and as a global citizen to the world, and where you find yourself. And if it comes from the place of empathy and the honesty, as I mentioned, about to contribute, it could be any career choice. Now, if you're talking about contemporary times, opportunities such as for design or art, or any other, they have been in there much before I started to step into it 10 years ago. So it's quite not new. I think it's about North India not accepting it as much as the other part of the country or the world accepts it as real career opportunity, to make money out of it or to actually consider it as a part of something to contribute into. So those opportunities, I won't call them new. I would call the sensitivity or the awareness coming up now. I mean, they always existed from the times known. Artists always contributed. They were the unbiased part of the society, which reflected what the times had to offer at that time. So, I guess, yeah.
But
Thank you, Ms. Kirti.
Kirti, don't you agree that professions also arise from the need, and the need always keeps evolving?
Sure, but if you talk about the essence of, how North India had the arts, right? Like I remember when I was in 12th or 10th standard, and when we had requested principal ma'am for commercial art to bring it to the school as a subject. It was very kind of DPS, as always it has been, to be encouraging the students to take their own paths in deciding. But the fact that it always existed, didn't it? It just evolved into different forms and shapes with sciences, mathematics, arts. And as traveling across the country and abroad, you realize that North India has very, very less awareness about how such field could offer into serious contributions, So,
because as time changes and as need arises, new careers and new professions are given birth to. For example, food crisis is a big challenge what we face today. And from my personal example, I was deeply inspired by a lot of young individuals working around me and the kind of conversations they were going on at the global level about food crisis and solving food shortages. So I turned into a farmer 3 years ago, and I started a group of young people, and we did farming together for about 2 years. And just last year, mid of the lockdown, we had to give up the land away back to the government for some other reasons. But I think a lot of these new career alternate opportunities are coming up because of the need that we face today and the kind of future we want to have tomorrow. So it was out of a personal choice that if I want to have clean, good, healthy food on my plate and make sure that other people have the opportunity to avail it, I have to do something about it. And that is how I have to do something about it, convert it into an actual profession.
Fair enough. That's what I mean. But coming from the place of how these things develop, I think we can make our passion our career. I think the direction yours was, I understand, was for sure it has always emerged from the very basic need, right?
No, I agree with what you said, Raghav. I've had a similar transition through my professional life. I too came to the conclusion how having a strong food security system in place is very important. We're still facing world hunger and several crises, and everything comes back to what kind of a food system you have in place. And that's why I am also currently working with farmers in Pune, in a very small village around Maharashtra, Pune. We're helping farmers from the very marginalized communities to shift from an animal agriculture based farming to a plant based farming. We provide them all the funding, and we help them utilize their labor, and that we ensure that they're fairly compensated as well. So the growth of a country definitely depends on how you treat your farmers. So
also,
that's
to add to that, as you guys rightly mentioned about the need, the growth of the country does depend on how you answer to that need with your skill set, as you both rightly mentioned, coming from an engineering background and coming from yours. So you had that awareness and to jump in at the time of need. For example, for our kind of backgrounds from architecture or design, we're talking about how there could be community living, housing for the people on the street, rather they could be not living on the street, how they could have those modular houses which are cheap and they could just move with it and base themselves. Or nomadic cities that are coming with zero waste left behind. So of course those kind of things are extensions of how careers evolve. But if you talk about, my answer was directed to the macro of new fields coming up, then going into the detail of micro, how you use your skill set and answering to the need for growth.
Thank you all for that insightful discussion. Now I have a question for Ms. Madhush. Since you are working towards sustainable development and human rights, I would like you to shed some light on how the youth can realize their roles and responsibilities towards our planet and contribute towards the society.
Okay, thank you for the question. First of all, I'd like to say that I've spoken to a lot of youth from around the world, and the good news is that people are constantly becoming aware of the situation at hand and pitching in to do whatever they can to help the crisis that we are in. And like I mentioned before, climate change often affects countries and people very unequally. That is, developing countries tend to face a far larger brunt of it than the countries that are in power. And even in those countries, men and women face the problems very differently, as the pandemic has also showed us. So it's important for the youth to understand these differences right now. And as far as trying to pitch in, like I mentioned, when we talk about growth and how we can factor in to building our country's secure food system, we really need to look at farmer rights, how the farmers are treated, how we can ensure a better food system for all that benefits all across your identities.
This reminds me of a quote by Swami Vivekananda. Arise, awake, stop not till your goal is reached. He was truly a man who never stopped believing that it is only the youth that can bring exuberance to this world. I have a question for Mr. Raghav. What value system has helped you over the youths? And do you prioritize EQ over IQ or vice versa?
Thank you for that question, Keshav. Very exciting to be talking about emotional quotient on a platform like this, where we value physical assets and materialism so much more than how we feel on the inside. We might use the hashtag good vibes only all the time, but we don't necessarily live to strive for keeping good vibes all the time in our lives in real life. Over the years, Keshav, I've realized that integrity is something that I really prioritize. Integrity in everything I do, because it's very important that you strive for goodness and you strive for doing something that is right. You stand by what you feel is correct, and you support people's opinion when you really want to support them, when you feel that someone's doing right. To speak up, to be able to stand up, and to keep honesty in your work is how I see integrity. And it's very important that integrity is a part of our life skill set, because it helps you navigate through workplace, through your education, through your relations, everywhere. Second, I would say something that I have prioritized and live by is cooperation. Without cooperation, we can reach nowhere. There's not one winner at the top. There's always a team behind the winner. There's always a team behind the leader. You can't make a change alone. You can inspire people, but to create a movement, you need cooperation of any sort. And change of any sort needs cooperation and support from everybody around you. And that comes when you offer support in the first place. Only then you can expect people's support to come to you. Bring this down to your daily life. Even in your classrooms, you have to be able to cooperate with your friends, fellow classmates, teachers, and support staff to have a healthy school life. And this continues, the journey continues up to your workplace and even beyond that. Because if you don't cooperate, people don't see that why should they cooperate with you. Third value that I have really valued is positivity. Looking for the goodness in everything around us. There is so much that we need to be thankful for. This technology setup that we're using today, the technology we have in our homes that helps us to connect with each other so frequently, so instantly, so easily, and so cheaply. The things that we have around us, there are so many things that people around us don't have, and they look up to us for those things. So let's be grateful for what God has given us, what we have in our lives, the blessings that we have as people. So looking at the goodness of life is very important. So I value positivity also, because we often keep cribbing and complaining about things we don't have. But how often do we feel thankful about things we have? And how often do we maximize the utilization of things that are given to us already? So that is something that we should all look at. I was at the ECOSOC Youth Forum in 2017 at the UN headquarters in New York, and I was representing UNMGCY in India there. And some 120 young leaders from across the globe were selected to be a part of that. And we all felt that emotional quotient is very, very significant and more important in so many ways than all other factors that shape our existence in life today. Because if you don't have a consciousness that is stable, you cannot make decisions that are correct. And your decisions will impact the future of the planet. As Madhushri was saying, there is no plan B. I say there is no planet B. And it's very important that we keep integrity, cooperation, and positivity as our value foundation. And we value our own happiness, our own health, emotional as well as physical first. And then we move on to other quotients such as economic quotient, social quotient, and other factors that shape our life. Because also in the climate field, as you have discussed, there is something called as climate anxiety coming up, which just is about how we feel about things and how we perceive things. There's so much stress, anxiety, pressure, unbuilding in people. And it's very important that in times like these, we remember the hashtag good vibes only. And we live by ourselves, and we help others to also enjoy that experience of good vibes only. It's about a mutual relationship between us and everybody around us. We can't live in silos. So to be able to have a healthy, happy life, it is very important that we prioritize our emotional health first, and then we move on to other things in life. Because once your mental peace, your saneness, your stability is lost, no amount of money, no amount of materialistic assets can help you reach anywhere.
Thank you, Mr. Raghav. On that note, I would like to bring this conversation towards a closing. I'm sure this is just the beginning towards a more enriching perspective. In Vivekananda's words, don't be afraid to take risks in your life. If you win, you can lead. If you lose, you can guide. Here at DPS, we aspire to produce the finest leaders that the world has ever seen. I hope the last few minutes left a deep and positive impact on each one of us. We indeed have more reason to overcome challenges and follow our dreams. Thank you.